The director of the Office of Process Improvement, Gary Bansuch, and myself gave this presentation to the American Society for Quality, the ASQ Boulder Chapter, on September 22nd, 2016, and it was a great turnout. The presentation lasted about an hour. We're going to sum it up here, or I'm going to sum it up here in less than 20 minutes. There's a heck of a lot of information in this presentation, and it was really engaging with the audience. And if you want to know more about it, drop a line at the bottom, look us up. I'll leave some links in the posting here, and get in touch with us. We'd be happy to share some more information with you. Gary Bansuch started off, and he has an impressive background, and he's been a lean facilitator and a lean practitioner for a very long time. If you want to know more about Gary Bansuch, just check out the Office of Process Improvement at the Colorado Department of Transportation. That's a great place to start. Gary Bansuch also took this slide. He talked about the summit to be the best DOT in the country. Currently, CDOT is number 13, and the map on the left of the screen there kind of shows where Colorado fits with the rest of the DOTs in North America. So number 13 is not too bad. We are looking to become number 1, and we're doing that through our lean methodologies. Here's a CDOT map. This shows where our headquarters are located. Our main one is located there. It's kind of highlighted in the middle. And you see a few others throughout the state. And our maintenance patrols are all throughout Colorado along major highways and back highways. And then you have engineering and admin, kind of mixed use facilities that have some maintenance and other engineering type of facilities that are located. We zoomed in on Boulder, and because we gave the conference in Boulder, and this shows, even when you zoom in, there's a lot of people that support the Department of Transportation in Colorado. Each one of these dots is not one person, it's multiple people. So it's very important, I think, to have these dot maps, and it's also important for visualization to kind of see where everybody's at. If you want to know a little bit more about me, I'm going to breeze through this slide, but feel free to check out the About tab. There's more information there, and I'm always available. Drop me a line. I'd be happy to share some more information with you. Here's kind of a background where I started and how I ended up at CDOT. Here's our agenda. We talked about Kanban Workflow visualization, lean coffee collaboration, and the 6S lean organization. 6S is very similar to 5S. We'll talk about that here soon. Before we did that, we talked about, and by the way, I took the presentation from here. I took the controls per Gary's request. That's just the type of guy Gary was. He really wants to highlight his team. And in doing so, I wanted to share some of the resources that Gary had provided, and also one that I brought into the game. So BMGI and value stream mapping are two sources Gary brought in. BMGI is kind of like the foundation for lean. It brings together all sorts of methodologies and glues them together. Value stream mapping on the right, it's kind of a 1-2 book, so we used it more as a reference, right? We molded what Karen Martin and Mike Osterling used in the book and said and gave us, and we molded those resources to the center, which is one of my resources, Personal Kanban by Jim Benson. Personal Kanban is a wonderful book about mapping your work. So it gets your work out of your head, and then also limits your work in progress. We'll talk about that here next in the Kanban Workflow visualization. A little history about Kanban. It was originated in the 17th century in Japan. The term is used for a sign on the top right there. That sign denotes a pharmacy. And various trades would use those signs to help direct people to their business. In the 1950s, America started using it in their poll system. Over there on the right is a couple rows of bananas. That is a poll system. We'll show how that works here soon. Now today, Kanban in business means visual signal, so it's used in a variety of different settings. Types of Kanbans, top left is a card system. This can be used in a variety of areas. I most often see this in purchasing. You'll set a card at a certain level in inventory. When you get down to that level, there'll be this card. You'll take the card, plus the supplies you need below it, You'll put this card in the rack, and when it comes time to purchase, all the purchaser needs to do is grab all these cards, make an order, and when the inventory comes in, they put the card back in place at the level it's supposed to be, put the rest of the inventory on top, lean. It's just in time delivery. Top right are some more Kanban examples in manufacturing. You get the lights, empty bins, tape, cards. Bottom right is a doctor's office. The chart there signals to the doctor that the patient's ready to be, ready for the next step. And then the bottom left is Kanban Workflow visualization. That's really what we're going to talk about. Before we do, a little bit about the pull system. If you look at the top sort of middle right there where the customer is getting ready to drive that car away from the lot, that's pull. That's being pulled from the lot. And the lot is signaling above it in the gray a product order, which goes down through the chain to the manufacturer, which says, hey, we need one more car. And when they have enough, they make another batch of cars and they ship them back out to the States, or they ship them throughout the States if they're manufacturing in the States, and they start going to the dealership. So that is the pull system, right? We don't anticipate what people will buy and make that because our products can stagnate and become old. We, through our inventory system, signal an order once the customer buys a car. We may not be making this year's vehicle. We're just telling the manufacturer, hey, we need to make another one. They'll decide whether it's next year's model or it's this year's model. But that's the pull system. Here's the other pull system. So you'll never think about bananas and supermarkets the same. What you have here are a couple of rows of bananas lined up. And the clerk at the store, and I spoke with a few clerks at the stores and asked them about this system. This is where I learned about it, was from the front line. Yes, I went to the store and talked to clerks about bananas. What they know is that you can fit a certain amount of bananas, let's say 10 each row. When you take bananas off of the rack, you know how many to bring back. If the racks are empty, you know how many customers have taken, you know how many to order, and it makes it simple and lean. Now, many people have possibly seen bananas like this. This is kind of an old supermarket way of storing bananas. You'll see this around other parts of the country. This is a mess, right? And this is where where I involved the audience and asked them what they thought about this. And some of the feedback was chaos. Unorganization. How could you even manage this, right? And here's what we have. We have bananas stacked on top of bananas on top of bananas. What happens is those bananas are getting bruised. They're getting old. We don't know where the new ones are or the old ones. We have no idea how many are taken, right? And a lot of people's workspaces look like this. And so it's really important to organize them so you know what you're doing and you're not doing more than one thing at the same time. You're not task switching, you're not multitasking. Here's our prior state. So we're switching. So we're going to use the banana theme in our workflow visualization, and this is Kanban right here. Well, okay, this isn't Kanban. This wasn't a first attempt at Kanban. When I came on with the Process Improvement Office, this is how they organized their projects. And they were really struggling with understanding where they were with their projects, what stage the projects were in. As you can see at the top left, you can see work with R4. That could be like a process mapping. It could be maybe a strategic plan, right? And that's a project, and that stays right there underneath that miscellaneous column until that project's done, and then it disappears. There's no satisfaction. The project stagnated, and it caused a real mess. Here's the big challenge. We had 10 of these boards. By the way, this is Trello that we're using here. Trello is an excellent elementary tool, right? So it's one of the best tools out there that's free that I've found so far. Hey, if you know of a tool that's better, let me know. I've seen LeanKit used that has swim lanes. Pretty neat tool. Nonetheless, back to where our prior state was, and the big challenge is now we have no idea where that R4 project is, right? it's in a mass layer of confused mess. Kind of looks like that pile of bananas, right? We exported all the data out of those 10 boards, and this is what we got. 9 pages of product categories, right? So we had 10 boards, 195 projects, and it took an hour each week to do a stand-up to tell the team where they're at with their projects. Because why did it take an hour? Because we didn't know where the projects were listed, so we had to find them, right? We brought that down to one board, 96 projects. We didn't reduce the amount of projects we were doing, by the way. We found that with 10 boards, we had multiple projects listed more than once. We had projects that were done. We had no way of knowing that they were done because we forgot about them. We finished, we delivered the product to the customer. Whoops, forgot to take the card down off the board. So now we're sifting through, completed and duplicated jobs. In getting rid of all that mess, we brought our stand-up time down to 20 minutes. Here's Kanban Workflow, right? And the key, the heart of this is really at the backlog, work in progress, and done. This comes out of the personal Kanban book. I added swim lanes. You have on the left sales, design, and build. This is a generic depiction of what something might look like if you were buying a bicycle, and you would populate the backlog, right? Get those projects out of your head on the board, populate the backlog, and when you're ready to devote the best amount of time you can towards it to produce a great product, then you move it into work in progress. And once it's done, you move it over to done. And that is your satisfaction as it moves from left to right. Here's our next state. So this is Kanban. We're going to move on, though, to a streamlined view. This is filtered just to me. These are my projects. And if you notice in the top left, we have parking lot, and it moves to upcoming, a couple stages of work in progress, waiting for feedback, finalizing, and done. Looks a lot like backlog, work in progress, and done, right? It's the same fundamental foundations that personal Kanban teaches us. And what happens is, as you get a card in the parking lot, it moves to upcoming. As soon as I'm done with some of these other projects in here, you can see the presentation that we're given right now is right here. As soon as this moves over here to completed, we're going to pull another one out of upcoming into our queue and start working on it. We have a column for waiting for feedback. This could be eliminated if you had swim lanes down here. This Trello just doesn't have that capability at this time. And then it moves, finalizing from feedback. Again, that could go away with a swim lane. And then completed, done. Right, so that's personal Kanban, that's work in progress. The main points are limit your work in progress and visualize your work. Get that work out of your head onto some form of visualized board, and then move that project along as it progresses from left to right to finish, from start to finish. All right, Lean Coffee. I have Lean Coffee already out here on my portfolio, so I'm going to breeze through this. If you want a little bit more about Lean Coffee, go ahead and check out the other tab for that. I'll put a link down here for it. And so I'm gonna breeze right through this. So what you want to do is populate. By the way, before we go, Lean Coffee is a way to have a meeting that's structured. However, it does not have an agenda that was made formally before the meeting, right? So you populate 3 columns: to discuss, discussing, and discussed. You set your timer for 1 minute, and everybody in the group starts writing topics they want to discuss. Once that minute is up, you organize them into like categories, right? Kanban, work and process mapping, we put those together. And then you get 2 votes. You can vote twice for the same card, or you can vote once for 2 separate cards. And by the time everybody is done voting, you organize them from top importance to least importance, and you set your timer for 5 minutes, and you move your top importance item into the discussing column. Now, I said 5 minutes. You adjust that to however long you want to have your meeting for, right? and then break that time slot up into segments so you can move cards along. The point is not to go through all the cards. The point is to at least discuss the top 2 or 3 hot items people want to talk about. And when you're doing this, when you're talking about this and the timer's running, you are writing down your epiphanies, your to-dos, your action items. What's going to come out of this? What products are going to be developed? At the end of the 5 minutes, you vote again, whether you want to talk about that item more or you want to move on. And if you decide to move on, you move the topic to the discussed file along with the epiphanies and to-dos, and you move the next top order item in. Excellent, excellent meeting resource. I've used it personally quite a few times, and we've used that a couple of times at CDOT. Great feedback from around the state. Huge resource. And also, this was an activity, by the way, that we did with the group. Great output. And we spent about 10 or 15 minutes on the activity thoughts. 6S lean organization. It is your sort, set, shine, standardize, sustain. We add safety. The Denver Peak Academy also adds safety as a 6th category. I've typically used this in a circular motion, and I put safety in the middle and I connect everything to it. The important thing is safety element is there, right? Here's a before and after. On the left, you can see disorganization. On the right, after the 6S was completed, it's much easier to tell what's going on. Here's all the waste that we brought out of this region. Here's some more recycling. And you can see everything went back into a place, and every place was labeled. And in places there was even tape that surrounded it. Here's a 6S project that took place in Grand Junction, Colorado. This was one office of the whole department, which the whole department got a 6S. And you can see how much happier the supervisor is there. And by the way, look at the top right. He also has a Kanban up there. Here's the Denver Peak Academy, and this is what I'm talking about with taping, right? So you can see on the right picture, there's some tape here, some yellow, and something is missing from that picture. If we went up, there would be a label there, we'd see what was missing. On the left, pretty obvious, there's a hammer missing, right? Somebody hopefully is using that hammer, or it could be, setting somewhere it's not supposed to be, right? That's how you sustain 6S. So that's it. We talked about Kanban, Lean Coffee, and 6S. If you want to know more about it, here's some resources, and I'll provide some links in the post. Thanks for checking it out.